Now, in order to fulfill that childish pleasure or the childhood pleasure, we find that the fantasy harks back to the past, that is to the earlier childhood experience where the wish was fulfilled. Now in future, it creates a situation in which the wish is fulfilled. Thus, daydream or fantasy is created, which carries the traces of present, past and future. The 3 time period is strung on the thread of the wish that runs through them. Now this is very important aspect of fantasy, that we have seen that fantasy in fantasy, he is saying that main characteristic is that it all refers to unfulfilled wish, and second that it includes all the 3 time period. Now when we are talking about daydreaming and creative process, Freud is now connecting this act to the creative process or to the creative writer, and he calls creative writer dreamer in broad daylight. Since the creative writer has a sense of literary form, he is able to put his daydreams to good use, unlike the layman who wastes his dreams. Since he does not know how to construct a poem or a play or novel, he is wasting his dream, and this differentiates a creative writer from others. A creative writer shapes his daydreams and fantasy into work of literary art. They turn the private feeling into public artifact. Thus the creative writer's desire is fulfilled and it gives him pleasure. We also know that human beings have innumerable wishes and desires that cannot be expressed freely due to, you can say, moral or social constrictions or restrictions. All the repressed desires that we have seen in the unconscious level of mind, and according to Freud, all the repressed desires are expressed in 3 forms, and that is dream, tongue slips and writing. And the creative writer takes the help of writing to express his repressed desire. So embarrassed and ashamed of his fantasy in the real world, he creates a daydream, and Freud says, dream are the royal roads that lead to unconscious mind. He takes the 3, again the creative writer also takes the 3 time period in order to fulfill his desire. The nostalgic, blissful and romantic past, that is childhood experience, becomes a driving force for his creativity. Freud also develops some aspect of psychology in creative process, and according to his model of psyche, he says that there are 3 zones of mind. First is id, second is ego, and superego, as you can see in the slide. Id, which deals with instinct, ego is the conscious part, and superego the moral conscious. So there is always conflict between id and superego. Id is coming with, you can say it is like a demanding child, always demanding that its wish should be fulfilled. But it has to go through ego. Ego is the one who is the mediator between id and superego, and it takes the demand of id to superego, and whatever is desirable or whatever is morally correct, that is permitted by superego. So according to this model, in the process of creative writing, the unfulfilled wish, as I told you, it is filtered through ego and superego, and only socially and morally acceptable desire is permitted in disguise, in a better way you can say. It is controlled by superego. Ego works with the reality to suppress those dreams. Another psychological aspect of creative process is, while creating any work of art, the artist has to go through 4 phases. They are latent, condensation, substitution, and symbolic, as you can see in the slide. Latent deals with the unconscious dream. Condensation, where we are where the filtered desire is made one, you can say, or rather you can say all the selected dreams are combined into one desire. And the third one, all those unwanted erotic desires are substituted by non-erotic ideas and presented in social accepted form. So, and in symbolic stage, he used symbols like we have seen in many of the novels in order to represent the sexual desire. Many symbols are used, and this is what you find in symbolic stage, that non-erotic ideas are expressed through symbols. So these are the 4 different phases that a creative writer has to go through in order to present his creative art. Now, since the creative art goes through all these phases, a reader identifies himself with the writer and gets aesthetic pleasure. The link of daydreaming and literary creation takes place through popular literature, and we find that all the creative writers, they go through, according to Freud, he is saying that there are 2 different kinds of creative writers. One who use their own material, like we have seen in romantic and social novel, and in this kind of writing we find that the author is presenting his own ego through the character. That is why we find that the hero is always his majesty, the ego, which is personified there. As you go through the text, you can see the hero's journey becomes the journey of the ego and of the writer as well as of the reader. So the pleasure of reading is essentially narcissistic. That is, after going through, if your ego is satisfied, if your wish is satisfied, you feel that this is something that you wanted and you enjoy that kind of reading. This takes place in romances and social novel, as I told you. Through the representation, the creative writer tried to win sympathy of reader. And now we are coming to another different kind of novel, like the psychological novel, where you find that especially Hamlet, Oedipus Rex, in this kind of novel, you find that the author is inside the mind of the hero. But nowadays, all the in modern psychological novel, we find that the ego is split into many characters which represent the author. So here you find Freud gives credit to creative skill of the writers in devising and deploying such technique for the purpose of gratifying deeper pleasure. Now, Freud also discusses some imaginative works. Now we are coming to the second category of creative writing, in which you find that the creative writer borrows material from myth or folk tales. So in this kind of writing, we find that the author, he does not change the myth, rather he expresses himself in the choice of the material. And this myth represents the collective fantasies of entire nation. So here we end the first part. We see from where he gets his material for creative writing. Now we are coming to the second part, where he is talking about how the creative writers evoke emotion in us. So there is a strong connection between the writer, that is the dreamer, and his poetical creation, that is dream. We have already seen the process of wishful fulfillment, that is daydreaming. Now, in the case of creative writers, a strong experience in the present awakens in the creative writer a memory of earlier experience from which proceeds a wish, which finds fulfillment in creative writing. We have already discussed about the 3 different times through which the daydreaming or fantasy goes, and then only a creation is possible or the wish is fulfilled. The same thing happens to creative writer, that he has to go back to an occasion is present before him, like the child's play we have seen. He goes back to the past. He remembers his childhood pleasure, and then he comes to the future with the fulfillment of wish. And that is what we find in creative writing also. By juxtaposing dream, time and wish, we can study the connection that exists in author and his work. The manner in which the artist approaches his work, his varying preoccupation with it, his expectation of what will happen to his finished product, all this can be especially related to aspects of personality that derive from unconscious fantasy. Thus, Freud saw the technical aspect of artistic work as a means of satisfying underlying wishes. Freud therefore strongly emphasizes that a piece of creative writing, like a daydream, is a continuation and a substitute for the play of childhood. Now, we have seen how he is connecting everything to childhood experience. We have already seen in the first part that as the child grows, he cannot share his child's play, and as a result of it, he finds a substitute, and that is daydreaming. So the daydreamer hides its fantasy from others because he is ashamed of it. So this is same with the creative writer also. He hides his fantasies from others, but he want to express it to others, and that is how he is expressing through his creative work. So Freud finally suggests that the essential ars poetica, that is the art of poetry, lies in overcoming the feeling of repulsion in us. This repulsion is connected with the barriers that rise between each single ego and the other's wish fulfillment. So whenever that ego arises, that ego comes, we have to fulfill that wish, and this is the entire thing we have studied in the first part, how one can satisfy his wish or his ego. So here you find that Freud suggests 2 methods used by the writer in order means how he can give that emotive satisfaction to his reader. So there are 2 ways he is saying. First, he softens the character of his egoistic daydream by altering and disfiguring it. And second, he bribes us by the aesthetic yield of pleasure. Means aesthetic means provides a very beautiful world before us, unreal world in which we find some sort of satisfaction, which he offers in the presentation of his fantasies. This, according to Freud, Freud, this according to Freud is for pleasure, means the presence of symbols or beautiful language, all this, or figures of speech, these are all called for pleasure according to Freud. We enjoy imaginative work because it gives us pleasure and liberates our mind. Daydreaming becomes an epitome of how we should enjoy our own day, the daydream without shame. So thus we can conclude that Freud in the essay Creative Writing and Daydreaming has presented a psychoanalytic theory which can be applied to study author, his text, reader and the time period. Freud agreed that the great art not only allows us to enjoy our daydreams but also adds new dimension to our experience and understanding, without which we would feel that we are in no man's land. So this is about the essay which is divided into two parts, and we have seen that in the first part we have started with the similarity between child's play and an adult fantasy. Then we have tried to show a contrast between reality and fantasy. Then how we can find a substitute, since we cannot have or share the child's play, we are finding a substitute, and that is daydream. And there is a long process that we have to go through in order to satisfy our wish, that is daydream, in which we take into account the time period that we have seen, past, present and future. Then second part deals with how a creative writer evokes that emotion, a pleasure to the readers. So we have seen that in order to evoke that pleasure to the reader, he is saying that he is discussing it through the characteristics of fantasy, and he is saying that there are two types of wish. He is satisfying both the wish, and he is trying to please his readers by softening the character or by providing a very beautiful world before us. So this is all about the essay that is Creative Writing and Daydreaming. Now after reading this, the questions that can be asked is first to discuss creative writers and daydreaming as a psychoanalytic literary theory. As you can see that he is approaching this essay in a psychoanalytic way and is discussing that how we can enter into the unconscious state of the reader and understand the author, the text and all those things through and what technique is the author using there, and that is daydreaming. That is what we find. Or the question can be, how does the essay Creative Writing and Daydreaming establish a relationship between unconscious fantasy and creative art? That you can see it is this whole essay is about that only, how we can use this unconscious fantasy into a creative art by comparing it with childhood play, or finding a substitute to it, or trying to bring a contrast between reality and fantasy by including all the three time period. This is how you can see that he is establishing a relationship between unconscious fantasy and creative art. Now the other question, which is again very important, is discuss the significance of daydreaming in Freud's essay. And we have seen the entire essay is based on daydreaming, that if a writer wants to fulfill his wish, the only way he can fulfill is through daydreaming, that is fantasy. And we have explained in detail about the process or the significance of fantasy, how it can be fulfilled. So these are some of the questions that can be asked, and the question that we have already seen in the introductory part, that how a creative writer gets his material to write, and the second one, how they evoke emotion in the reader, that we have already explained there. So these are some of the questions that will be asked, and I think the explanation is sufficient enough to write your answer. Thank you.